So this Rachel Zegler story has gotten so off the rails that it makes a little train wreck look like a pleasant stroll through the park. So yeah, this whole Rachel Zegler Snow White disaster is back in the headlines, and people is just keeps getting worse and worse. Like you think at some point the whole PR damage from Rachel Zegler would stop, that someone over at Disney would pull the emergency brake on, Rachel Zegler and her big mess that she's caused. But nah, the chaos surrounding Rachel Zegler is still going strong, okay? And now, well, it's getting personal. So at this point, it's almost become tradition where every few weeks, some fresh piece of drama about Rachel Zegler and the Snow White reboot pops up. And this time, it's gotten personal. Now you've got Jonah Platt, the son of Snow White's producer, stepping in on social media, as you all know, going toe to toe with a swarm of angry Rachel Zegler stands, and I mean full on keyboard warrior meltdown mode. Now these people are attacking this guy for defending his own dad from the wrath of Rachel Zegler um remaining fan base. Okay, now that's how far gone the situation is. It's so crazy I can't even get my mind wrapped around it. But the whole Rachel Zegler fan base, or what's left of it, has gone into full cult mode, and the drama, all roads lead straight back to Rachel Zegler herself. Okay, and you know what? I'm not even surprised. I'm not even saying that as a joke. These fans, I call them, as a lot of it calls Zegerians, act like Rachel Zegler is some sort of intergalactic queen and stuff who could do no wrong. I mean, it's like watching people worship a TikTok influencer who just tanked a $300 million movie and then told everyone it was our fault for not clapping hard enough. You see, Rachel Zegler isn't just the name in the headline. She's become the basically the embodiment of a Hollywood implosion. And the more we learn about, what happened behind the scenes and stuff, the more obvious it becomes that Rachel Zegler is at the center of this huge fiasco. Now, some random internet user, probably a burner account on Instagram or something like that, fueled by pure unfiltered cope, accused Jonah Platt's dad of flying across the country just to scold poor little Rachel Zegler for expressing her quote unquote free speech. As if dragging your employer and alienating your audience during a press tour for a Disney princess movie with a live action remake of Snow White, which is a flop, is just speaking your truth. I mean, Jonah, being a good son, claps back, and what he says, I mean, honestly, is exactly what needed to be said. If not by him, then somebody else. No PR spin, no corporate speak or jargon, just cold hard truth. He stated on Instagram as a comment, yeah, my dad is a producer of a massive Disney film, had to leave his family to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the press tour of a movie that she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to promote. Now, that one quote gets it. That's not censorship, okay? That's called accountability. Actions have consequences. It's that simple of being a basic adult, or at least they used to be. And let's be honest, if you're Rachel Zegler or any other actor out there that's entitled and you're the face of Snow White, maybe don't use your platform to insult half of the country and trash the fairy tale that you're supposed to be celebrating, okay? But apparently that was, too much for the Rachel Zegler stands out there to handle. They exploded in the comments like a firework factory set ablaze, where the replies were unhinged. Okay, and in the midst of that cringe fest, we got even more confirmation about what really happened behind the scenes. Okay, so it turns out that the people working on Snow White weren't exactly living their Disney dreams. Okay, word is, Rachel Zegler made things so unbearable. They had to fly out key people twice just to beg her to stick to the contract that she signed. Okay, and they thought that this would work and stuff, but apparently she still refused. I mean, let's be honest here. how tone deaf do you have to be to ignore your own team when they're telling you, "Hey, you're hurting the movie. You're putting your co-stars at risk." Okay, could you just maybe at least just dial it back a bit? I mean, that's all you asked for. And Rachel Zegler's response, nope, not taking it down. So, yeah, basically she stood firm. Didn't matter that the studio was burning down around her. Didn't matter that other people, the crew, the designers, the blue collar workers as well, were depending on this movie to succeed. But Rachel Zegler wouldn't budge. And it's like she wanted the whole thing to go ahead and crash and burn. I could be wrong, but that's just a thought that came across my mind recently. And let me tell you, well, it did. You see, Rachel Zegler is not only a flop, but it's also a disaster. No sugarcoating it. This thing is a full blown box office nightmare. Now, people aren't showing up. The few that are, I mean, mostly just there to just go ahead and see how bad it really is. And spoiler alert, it's worse than we all thought. Bad acting, according to a lot of people, worse writing, and a tone that tries so hard to be modern if it gets to be fun. And it's like Disney went out of its way to go ahead and make something that's really unwatchable. Okay. Now, even if Rachel Zegler had been on her best behavior, the film still would have struggled. But with all the bad press, I mean, that Rachel Zegler brought with her, I mean, it's like she took basically a sinking ship and drilled a few more holes in the hull just for fun. Okay. And guess what? Like I said, this wasn't just a flop. It was basically a self inflicted wound. And now Disney's left trying to go ahead and pick up the pieces, okay, of a film that's become a huge punchline. And they're probably wondering why they gave the keys of the kingdom to the keys to the kingdom of to someone like Rachel Zegler, who doesn't even seem to like the kingdom itself. And now we're just hearing it straight from people involved, where Rachel Zegler, well, didn't just act like a diva. She acted like the main character in a real life villain origin story. Ouch. I mean, basically, forget professionalism, forget teamwork. You know, this was just definitely narcissism cranked to 11. Okay. People are finally speaking out, not because they're bitter and everything, but because, you know, they're definitely sick and tired of watching the truth get buried under a mountain of social media spin. Okay. They watched the movie, they poured their hearts into getting to get destroyed, not by critics, not by trolls, but by Rachel Zegler herself. Okay. And guess what? There's no walking back from that. And instead of just simply taking responsibility, Rachel Zegler went on ahead and decided to play the victim. And her fans, oh, they just lapped it up like it was holy water. That's how deep this delusion runs. It's a cult of personality surrounding Rachel Zegler, someone who's proven over and over again, time after time, that she wasn't ready for the spotlight. Okay. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this was just simply a product of Disney's own bizarre experiment over the last 5 years. Okay. They simply stopped casting for character and started casting for hashtags, check off lists, so on and so forth. They weren't looking for people who actually fit the role and everything. They were simply just looking for people who would fit the narrative as well as being easily controlled. In this case, Rachel Zegler couldn't be controlled. And guess what? When you build your casting around Twitter clout instead of just talent and reliability, this is what you get: a tone deaf, cringe filled mess that explodes in your face and takes your brand down with it. Okay. Now, let's be honest here. Disney made this bed and now they're lying in it. Face down in a pile of angry posts on X, leaked DMs, and ruined box office projections. Okay. But getting back to an earlier point made about the Rachel Zegler stance, because these people basically need their own documentary. Now, a lot of people calling them the Rachel Zegler cult for a while now. Honestly, cult might be underselling it a bit. You see, these people will continue to be unhinged, defend Rachel Zegler no matter what she does. I mean, she could just simply insult their own grandma and still and they'd still hashtag queen. I mean, honestly, this is all weird but not surprising at all. and it's like they've completely detached from reality. You point out Rachel Zegler's bad behavior, and suddenly, I mean, you're the villain. You ask if maybe, just maybe, Rachel Zegler could tone it down, and basically they just, well, act like you kicked the puppy. And now they're attacking Jonah Platt for defending his own father. Okay, that's the level of insane cope that we're dealing with right now. But I digress. I mean, what do I know? But this isn't just about Rachel Zegler. You see, it's about a culture in Hollywood that's lost its mind. They actually forgot how to make good movies because they got so obsessed with checking diversity boxes and stuff and pushing woke narratives, okay? But they've made it mainly about activism instead of storytelling, about woke ideology instead of imagination, okay? And that's the reason why Disney is not doing so well. And look where it got them. You know, a movie that's so radioactive that even the producer had to be sent out like a firefighter trying to save what's left of the reputation, okay? Except this fire, it was started by Richard Zegler holding the matches and pouring the gasoline, dousing it gasoline everywhere. But you can't build a $1 billion franchise around someone who actually thinks that Snow White is, quote, outdated and problematic. Now, you can't sell magic with someone like Rachel Zegler who sees herself as too enlightened for fairy tales, and you definitely can't rescue, you know, your brand with someone who actually calls her audience stupid and expects applause. All right, I mean, that's basically common sense right there, if you ask me. But watching this go down has been like watching a self-inflicted explosion on repeat. Okay, now Disney didn't just cast the wrong actress; they handled Rachel Zegler. They handed Rachel Zegler basically the dynamite. Okay, now Rachel Zegler alienated the fans, trashed the original story, dragged her politics into every interview, and then had the gall to go ahead and act shocked when people didn't want to show up to the theaters to watch the movie itself. And instead of just simply learning from the backlash, I mean, Rachel Zegler simply doubled down. You see, she decided that everyone else was the problem. Okay. If you ask me, that's not growth. That's simply delusion. And what also really blows my mind is how many people, you know, had to suffer for Rachel Zegler's attitude, with co-stars getting death threats, producers having to beg her to honor her contract, entire teams of artists, excuse me, and workers watching their efforts get overshadowed by a social media circus. Okay, and this isn't their fault, you know, it's the company as well as Richard Zegler's fault. And this isn't some quirky actress drama. It's a total breakdown of leadership, professionalism, and common sense, quite frankly. Okay. Now, apparently, the drama just goes all the way back to before the production even kicked off. Okay. Which is no surprise there because we heard it through the grapevine, through rumors. Now, Rachel Zegler was reportedly upset about not getting invited to the Oscars back in 2022, as y'all remember. Like, that's what set up this whole spiral in motion. That petty resentment snowballed into a years long tantrum that burned right through hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay. But I mean, all of that on top of the fire delays, the strikes, and the reshoots, and the bizarre creative direction and stuff. This thing was cursed from the beginning, okay? But I mean, Rachel Zegler simply didn't just add fuel to the fire. She bought the matches and a can of gasoline and doused even herself with it to make this career suicide. Now, $300 million, maybe more, down the drain, and the damage isn't just financial, it's reputational. This whole fiasco has tainted the Disney brand in a way that may take years, if not decades, if it ever does, just to fix it. Now, there's just no way to look at it and call it, you know, what it is, a complete and utter meltdown. Now, the kind of train wreck people will be studying for decades, a textbook example of what happens when you choose vibes over values and PR stunts over actual stars, okay? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Richard Zegler saw the mess that was, you know, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, smiled and said, "Hold my LaCroix." And Richard Zegler didn't just, you know, top that train wreck. she definitely buried it. Okay. And you better believe that the next time someone tries to go ahead and simply pitch a live action remake with a bold new vision, studios are going to think twice, because no one wants to be the next headline in the Rachel Zegler nightmare. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, congratulations, Rachel Zegler. You didn't just lead a failed movie, you became the face of Hollywood's biggest self-owned. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Be sure to smash the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell for notifications, and I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, peace.